Hey you guys, it's me Gemstone from www.tarotforhealing.com. I hope you guys are doing really well. This is your reading for the 4th of May through to the 10th of May. Now, today I'm going to be using the Energy Oracle deck by Sandra and Taylor. And I managed to pull one card before being interrupted. So that one card was hostility. And the number at the top is 26. So to me, this card is talking about somebody challenging your belief system, challenging your position. It could be a case of you're feeling quite defensive, like you have to stand your ground when it comes to other people. When I look at this card as well, it's kind of saying that you might be the type of person that is prepared to cut people down to size and maybe to not be, I don't see it as strictly being like an aggressive kind of thing, but I feel like some of you guys will almost defend yourself in an intellectual way. Like someone might challenge what you believe and you'll be able to sort of break it down as like to let them know, okay, I believe in this because of this, and this. And so it could be a case of maybe it's just an exchange of words between you and someone else. But at the same time, I think that this is really something that is meaningful to you. To me, it's almost like this card has an energy about it that is a bit like the Seven of Wands. It's like that energy where you're not going to be defeated, you're not going to back down, and you're really going to be standing up for yourself. And I feel like, obviously this scenario can play out in different environments. It can play out between you and somebody that is meant to be a friend or meant to be family or something like that. It could even present itself like in a work situation where somebody is challenging your authority at work, and maybe you did something and you're having to uh, like sort of explain why you chose to do what you did or whatever, and it seems that you're prepared to because you feel like whatever you did was the right thing to do for that time. So it's almost like you're not going to let somebody else tell you that what you did or what you are doing is incorrect, because within yourself you feel like it is the right thing to do. um what I also feel with this card is, when I look at the numbers too, it kind of makes me think that some of you guys might actually be going through this with a romantic partner as well. So it could be a case of you have a disagreement with your partner and you're trying to stand your ground in that position as well. But looking at it, even though it's like it says hostility, sometimes when you do speak up for yourself, you can actually make things better. Like it might be a situation where somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody says something, then you feel like you have to respond, but then in responding, it's like you can actually maybe inform that person and maybe get them to see things from your position, and then it's almost like it can make a situation even better. So I feel like for some of you guys, if you are in a relationship and maybe there's things that you haven't said, maybe things that you are just holding in within yourself that are kind of bothering you, it's saying that this might be a week that you actually decide to come out and say some things. But then I also feel like it, because it may have been something that was pent up. It You may not communicate it in the nicest of ways. Like it's almost could sound like you're frustrated or like you're upset, but then at the same time it's almost like you needed to say that. So just be careful. Like if there's something that you really need to say and you just haven't been saying it, it's, try and say it in the most like gentle way possible. And because I also feel that that might be going on as well, and that can also bring about hostility. Like sometimes hostility is created because people just aren't being upfront and they're not saying everything as it is, and then it's like, there's certain things that might be bothering you and stuff about another person, and you're kind of holding it in, and the other person might be feeling the same way about you and they might be holding it in too, and then it's like there's this vibe between the two of you that isn't that pleasant, but then no one is really addressing like the elephant in the room kind of situation. But it's time for you to address the elephant. You have to say what you have to say and just sort of clear the air and things like that. I also think that for some of you guys, it could be a case of maybe, maybe you don't want to feel vulnerable as well. That can make us a bit hostile as well if we feel like we're being made to feel vulnerable or attacked in some kind of way. Um, so be careful of people that can challenge you in that sense. But what I'm kind of seeing with this card too is that it's sort of saying that this is sort of it's the ending of a phase to begin a new phase for some of you guys. Because when I look at this card, it looks like really autumn, like really fall, like in the background, and that's kind of making me feel like it's a changing time for some of you guys. So maybe this sense of like speaking up for yourself is something that is even new to you. Like maybe you're the kind of person that has never really done this before, and like I don't know, it just sort of takes over you, and you just have to sort of put people in their place. And so you might even be surprising people. Like people might be looking at you like, I never thought that she had it in her to be that way, or you know, or he had it in him to be that way. But sometimes that's what you have to do, you know, to sort of get your viewpoint across. So let's see what the next card is. Oh, all tied up. And that card is 23. I don't know if you saw that properly. All tied up. This kind of card is sort of saying, do you know, this reading to me so far, just through pulling these two cards, and funnily enough, do you know this deck is like, it's meant to be an oracle deck, but it's like, when you look at them, it's like you can see almost what tarot card they're kind of like associated with, or that they may have used to be, you know, inspired in creating the cards in this deck, because this card looks just like the Eight of Swords in like traditional tarot, and it's the number 23, and it's all tied up. And so this card to me is speaking of somebody that is you're trying to progress, you're trying to get somewhere, but there's hostility, there's upset. It's almost like it's a frustration of feeling like you're not making movements, things are not progressing. It's a sense of feeling trapped, it's a sense of feeling things are too samey, and you're kind of maybe hoping for something different, something better, something new, but then it's like you're sort of trapped in this position, this phase of things. And but the thing is that I like is that if you look at these cards together, it's like the woman is like all like bondaged up, and she looks like kind of the damsel in distress, and the guy looks like her savior, and he has a sword, and obviously the sword can cut the vines or whatever they are. They kind of look like vines because they are plant. Um, can kind of cut them. And so what this is saying to me is you're you're not stuck. It's the same message like the Eight of Swords. It's like you're not really stuck. It's just a mental thing. It's just a case of feeling maybe worried, feeling anxious, and because of that you kind of feel like things are not progressing. And that's usually where anxiety stems from in the first place. It stems from thinking about the future and thinking so much into the future that it's like um you can't really properly think things through right now, because you're just in too much of a state of stress because you're not where you want to be, or you're not seeing the progress that you want to see. But I think another thing that we have to be aware of, which is definitely a message that has come through for me in my own personal life as well, is that sometimes there's a time to move, sometimes there's a time to be still and to wait. And so not everything is like get up and go straight away, do. And I think sometimes we can definitely have that about us, where we just want to get up and go, and we just want to see things progress, and we just want to get ahead. But then at the same time, we have to understand that sometimes when we are delayed, there's a bigger reason for that. Delays don't necessarily have to mean that you're not going to get to where you're going to go, but it just may mean that you have to go about it a different way. Or you never know, you might just have to wait on something for something else to come through. To be honest, this message sounds so similar to the one I did last week. So this is really speaking to somebody, because it seems that the same kind of cards are kind of coming through. So But again, it's like what I'm seeing here is it's all in the way you view things. This is about the mind. It's about what you are prepared to do. And um and it's what another thing that has come to mind for me as well, thinking about the mind, is that at times when you're not in movement, it's a good time to study, it's a good time to learn, because that can also help you in terms of making progress. Sometimes you don't have to be in the position of just making something happen, like materializing something. Sometimes it's good in that space where there is a bit of a delay for you to learn, okay, what can I do in the meantime? What can I do to benefit me in the meantime? Um like for instance, if maybe it was a work situation or something like that, and you applied for a job or something and you haven't heard back, even though you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't heard anything, it might be good for you to do something else in the meantime, where you are just sort of occupying your time, or something, something that is productive in that time. um because it's like either way you'll gain from the situation. You'll gain, when the opportunity comes through for you or whatever. But then even if it doesn't come through for you, you also be gaining because you're using your time in a productive way. You're not just waiting around and just doing nothing. So again, it could be saying that as well. Like for some of you guys, you might have to just get into something that interests you, get into something that can also be beneficial to you right now, and hopefully like in the future. And again, it will be a really productive way of spending your time, basically. um okay. This message is very similar to the last week's message. And it says, door to personal healing and happiness. This is bizarre. Like to me, it's like this is a completely different deck. I shuffled these cards up, and I tell you, like, I before I pulled a card, I set the intention to like to make this message to any and everyone that is watching. Whatever message can come through that will be beneficial to people watching this video. And it's like the same message has come through, very similar message to last week. So I feel like this message is really speaking to some people out you here right now. And it's so funny because I can't remember like each and every one that came up last week, because obviously I wasn't expecting this message to be like so similar. But the interesting thing is like it still had that pattern of like the two cards before it kind of being a bit challenging, and then it ending on a really sort of nice card. And this is the same. It's like there's two are challenging and then it ends on a nice card again. So it's kind of showing again that things are progressing, even though things may not look like they're making moves on the surface. Like underneath, things are making moves, things are happening. And so it's like saying something else is opening up, something else is being created, a new sense of stability, a new sense of foundation of thinking of the future and everything else. So again, sometimes the restricted times is the universe's way of telling you that, you know what, you have to wait, because when you wait, something much better will come through, and it's going to lead to healing. So all the hostility and the upset and the delays that you've been receiving is going to lead to something that is going to heal away all of that frustration, for something really good to break through in the end. And so it's almost like you're going to look back and think to yourself, like, why was I so mad? Like, it just didn't make sense, because there is a sense of progress. So it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And because this reading is for what, the third, it's interesting that both of the readings were quite similar from last week to this week, because I know between that time on the 3rd of May is supposed to be the Scorpio full moon. And a lot of like astrologers and stuff are saying about how it's a good moon for like prosperity coming through and things coming through, because obviously it's a full moon, it's not a new moon. So it's like things being completed, like something being finalized and coming through. And so I feel like maybe that's why we're this sort of card is coming up with this door to happiness, and the last reading sort of being similar, having that same kind of theme to it. Something definitely is coming through that is really good. If it's not happening to you in, literally like the week where I done the last reading, or even this week where I'm doing this reading, between this time something good is coming through for you guys. Because it's just the message is still coming through. It's the same message. And then it's like this card is so lovely because it has like a dove. Dove signifies the peace that comes after the storm, because in the biblical story, um it was like the dove that came back to tell Noah that like the flood was over, kind of thing. So it's like doves are like really spiritual, and it's really like a sense of peace and calm, and to say that everything is better now, everything is going to be okay. Then you have a rainbow as well. Rainbows also signify, again, that sort of the storm is over, everything is going to be brought back into peace and love. It also has a peacock here, which I love peacocks because they're so proud looking, and they're just so beautiful looking. And so it's almost saying like this sort of sense of beauty is going to be coming back into your life, sense of peace and calm, which is really nice. And then underneath the deck, which is a really nice card to sort of end this reading on, is rest and rejuvenation. And as you can see, he looks like he's deep in meditation, and it's the number 19. So it's new beginnings that come about after a time of completion. So what is sort of happening here is yeah, and that's so connected with like the Scorpio new moon, sort of full moon kind of thing, with the completion sort of aspect of things. And so what it's sort of saying is there's, again, it's the calm after the storm, it's the rest, it's the rejuvenation, it's you sort of rebuilding yourself, you reestablishing yourself, maybe even reinventing yourself. And all of this might be coming about because you're going to feel like things are getting better for you. And at the same time, when I look at this card, it also makes me think of where I did mention about spending your time in like a productive way, even when things are being delayed. As you can see, he could looking at him, he could think to himself, "Do you know what? I'm just sitting here kind of doing nothing." But then at the same time, he is doing something. He's meditating, he's connecting with source, he's connecting with spirit, and developing a deeper connection even with self. And it's sort of saying, use your time in a way where you can maybe do the same thing. You don't have to always be on the go to be actually doing something that is really beneficial for yourself. In that quiet time, in that quiet space, we get so much done because of the fact that we're sort of tapping into something that is greater than just exuding a whole bunch of energy that can lead us really to nowhere. So yeah, I like this reading. So I'll see you guys. Bye.